Hello, welcome back. The next operator on our list here is the logical operators, and we have two of them. And I already have some variables written here so that we can save time, because this particular one is going to be a bit in detail, so the video is going to be a bit longer than usual. So the AND operator, which has the double equal sign, double ampersand sign, sorry. So we have the double ampersand sign, which is called the AND operator, logical AND. This pipe sign here, which is the logical OR operator. Now, let's take a look at how to use them. But before we dive into that, these operators are used to make compound comparison. By compound comparison, I mean where we want to compare multiple stuff, like multiple stuff grouped together, so subgroups of things. All right, so let's take a look at an example to see how that is done. So I'll console.log this in the browser. So let's say we want to compare let's say A is superior to B and B is superior. Okay, let's say C is superior to D, like this. Right, let me save this and let's see the answer we get in the console. Now this returns us false. So basically what is happening here is that JavaScript went through the code and says, okay, A is superior to B, right? Which is 10 is superior to 6, which is true. So it moved to the next side of this AND operator and checks the value of this operation here, which is actually not true, because C is the same as D, which is 5 is equal to 5. So it checks again, is C superior to D? No, it is false. Then it returns that false here, which is the false we get in the console here. So this AND operator basically checks for values, operations that will return false, and then sends them out of the equation. So when we can also chain up multiple, multiple operators, multiple AND operators. So let's say A is superior to D, which is actually true. Let me put D here and let me save and refresh. So just to see that it is not because the C and D is at the end of the operation, that's why it's returned false. So let's refresh. Now we can see that our answer is still false, because JavaScript went through here. It said this is true. Okay, then it goes to the second side again and sees that this one here is false. So it basically ignores this the rest of the operations, right? It just ignores them and just sticks with the false value and then returns false for that. All right, so the same thing applies to the pipe sign, which is this one here, but this checks for the first value to return true. So once it sees a value that returns true, it doesn't even bother going through the whole operation to see what else could happen. I mean, what else is happening here. All right, so let's save and refresh. Now we can see that our value here is true, because the first one here returns true, and we can also chain up multiple pipe signs in our operations as well. Now, all right, there's something I would really like us to go over, which would seem like an advanced topic, but it is really not. And it is the truthy and falsy values in JavaScript. So we have values like undefined, an empty string. Let me just use the double quotation mark. An empty string, a -0, and there are lots more of them, are known as falsy values. So falsy values. And we have other ones like the first one, let's say we have real numbers, a string, right? A string with 0 or any value at all would be truthy value, will be a truthy value. And we an array is a truthy value, an empty array is a truthy value, an empty object is also a truthy value. There are a lot of them like that. I'll just stop there. Let me just put a truthy here, truthy value. Right. Okay. All right. So we have these truthy values here, and this is how they work. So I would use these two variables here. Oh Christ. Okay, let A equal to 5. Let B equal to 6. Right? And let's see how these truthy and falsy values work when it comes to these logical operators here. So the first one we are going to look at is the AND operator. So console.log A and B. So let's take a look at the answer in the console. So when we refresh our browser, we see that 6 is being returned, which is the value of B. What this AND operator does when it comes to these, truthy and falsy values, it basically goes through the code and checks for which value is falsy, right? It's basically looking for the falsy values. If it doesn't find any falsy value, it simply returns the last truthy value in the operation. So it goes through and then it doesn't find any falsy value. It just returns the the falsy value, the last truthy value in the operation. And let's take a look. When B is now undefined and we refresh, you can see that it returns the first falsy value in the operation. So where we chain this up again, so we looked at chaining already, so we can also chain more than one. So let's put an empty string here, or let me put -0 here like this, right? And then save, refresh. Now we can see that it's still returning undefined, which is the first falsy value that it found. But if I change this to, let's see, back to 3, which is a truthy value, it's a real number, then it returns -0, which is the last falsy, which is the first falsy value it found in this operation, right? So the same thing goes for the pipe sign, which is the logical OR operator. So what happens here is it goes through the code and looks for the first truthy value, right? Once it finds the first truthy value, it returns it. But if there's no first truthy value, then it will return the last falsy value it finds in the the operation or the equation. So when we refresh, 5 is the first truthy value that this that is in this equation here. This is the first truthy value. So this OR operator, or the pipe sign, returns the first truthy value. And when we change this to, let's say, a undefined, which is the first falsy value that we learned about here, and we change this to an empty string, refresh, our save and refresh. Now we can see that the last falsy value is being returned in our console. So it basically goes through and looks for which one is the first truthy value. Just give me a truthy value. Once it finds the truthy value, the operation stops. When we change this B back to like 5, then refresh our browser. So the operation basically ended here. It doesn't even bother looking at what is here on the other side of the equation. So B, which is the first truthy value in this equation, is being returned, which is 5. So, and 5 is a number, a real number. So yeah, that's it for truthy values with logical operators.